Hey y'all, it's Shama of the Yarn This podcast, Jesse's Girl 84 on Ravelry, Instagram, and Twitter. I think about it because I don't use Twitter very often. If you hear noise, it's my dog down here playing with her toy. Today is hashtag SSSVita 2017, day 17. And today I'm going to talk a little bit about my podcast and why I started it. I told y'all that when I first started, or since I started knitting, I've just been an avid knitter. So I loved listening to audio podcasts for the longest time, and then I started finding video podcasts, and I got to see what people were talking about with their knitting and their patterns. And I thought, I want to do that too. I want to share what I do. I want to share my passion, my enthusiasm, and I want to make some more knitting friends in the process. So I think for 2 years, I'm going to take her toy away just a second. Okay, sorry. So for about 2 years, I think, I practiced my opening, and I still use that opening. I said it to myself over and over. Sorry. There, I'll just get rid of her toy. Maybe she'll go in there. And yet I was scared to death to do it. My husband bought me this mic, and he bought me a little camera to attach to my laptop. And it turned out that camera didn't work well. But it's not the camera, I think, so much as it is my laptop. It does not video well. Sorry. Anyway, so finally, I had joined this knitting group locally that meets. We meet every Thursday night. Not everybody's there every time, but it's a weekly meeting. And so I started talking to them, and I said, I want to start a podcast. And I got so much help and encouragement, and I finally took the plunge. And I don't have as many episodes as I should because I'm coming up on 2 years. But I also don't want to podcast when I don't have anything to talk about. So I stick with just not necessarily a regular schedule, but just a schedule that when I have things that I can show and discuss. So when I started, my older son wrote a song for me, and it's awesome in a lot of ways. He used a lot of knitting terminology and wrote a lot of it before he asked me for some more ideas of knitting terms to use. The only thing is it's heavy metal because that's his music. And a lot of people were like, that just doesn't go with your podcast at all. And I would love for him to write something or to even take that song and put it in an 80s format because that's my music. My younger son designed the logo. And here it is. I think I'm going to name the sheep and the alpaca. But I haven't done that yet. I even had a mug. I don't think you can see it. It's on top of my bookshelf behind me. I had a mug made that has the logo on it. So the way I came up with the name was I was at my parents' one day, and I had this crochet book. And I've always knitted for my nephews, and I've knitted a little bit for my niece, and they are appreciative of everything that I've knitted for them. And they would ask me for stuff, and I would ask them, what would you like for me to knit for Easter or whatever. So I had this book. It was a little amigurumi crochet book sitting next to me, and we were at my parents', and my older nephew walked by, and he was probably 4 years old at the time, maybe as old as 5, but I doubt it. And he looked at that little crochet book, and he pointed to one of the pictures on the cover, and he said, "Yarn this." In other words, he wanted me to make it for him. And from that moment on, that I knew that's what I wanted to name my podcast. My nephews also have called me their knitting butler because I knit for them. And when my brother's been out of town before, I've gone and stayed with them. And while I'm there, I help out around the house, like folding laundry. And they watched a Disney show that I can't remember the name of that had a butler. And so they called me their knitting butler. And somebody said that would as another name I should have used or could have used for my podcast. Anyway, I just get so much out of just talking into my camera phone and phone camera. And I know that not a lot of people watch this, but the people that do, it means so much to me. And I have made some new friends. And now that my friend Kim dyes yarn and we get to go to these fiber festivals, we've made even more friends. And it's a very exciting world to me. And I'm so thankful that I've gotten into it as a knitter, as someone who can go to knitting shows with her friend, and as a podcaster. And getting into this Vita has been an amazing experience because I've met other knitters that I hadn't even found their podcasts yet. So I just wanted to let you know a little bit about why and how I started my podcast and where the name came from. I guess there's really not anything else to tell about it. If you're just watching me on my vlogs, go back and give one of my podcast episodes a shot and tell me what you think. I guess that's really all I had to say about that, so I'll talk to y'all tomorrow. Bye.